Blue. Our rival in the early Kanto games, the current gym leader of the Viridian City Gym, and the current co-boss of the Alola Battle Tree. It must be said right off the bat, Blue is undoubtedly one of the most accomplished trainers in the entire Pokemon franchise, hands down. From being a gym leader, to having been a former champion of the Kanto and Johto regions, to being the boss of a post-game battling facility for the strongest of trainers in the Alola region and beyond, Blue's many accolades are truly representative of his raw ambition and power. This ambition does come at a cost, however. Many of us who have played the early Kanto games will know of Blue's nature as both a trainer and a person. Relentless, extraordinarily rude, and unapologetic. He made a great rival not just because of how strong he was, but because of how much he made us hate him with every fiber of our being, through his snarky comments and arrogance. At one point, he even leaves the player to take on Team Rocket at Silphco alone because he wanted to go challenge the Elite Four instead. Being the grandson of the esteemed Professor Oak and the brother of his very kind sister named Daisy, who never ceases to help us on our journey, whether it's through giving us the town map or giving massages to our Pokemon, one wonders where this side of him must come from. And perhaps it's the apparent absence of his parents, who knows. No matter where it comes from, one thing remains true. Blue puts his ambition above all else, and is even willing to actively put others down in order to achieve his goals. However, thankfully the early Kanto games are not the only games we see Blue in, and we do notice some character development along the way. Upon losing his champion status to Red in Generation 1 for instance, Professor Oak teaches Blue a valuable lesson, that caring for both trainers and Pokemon is a necessary tool in becoming a stronger trainer, just like Red had done. That was the leverage that Red had in order to defeat him. Although Blue doesn't take this lesson well initially, and in fact decides to run off in a tantrum to the Sevi Islands to find rare Pokemon and grow stronger to take back his champion status, when we meet him in later games we see that that lesson did have some sort of impact on him. For instance, when Ethan or Chris meet him in the second generation on Cinnabar Island, he turns down a battling challenge because he's upset about the people and Pokemon who are affected by the volcano explosion. Although it's worthy to note that he still frames this situation as a battle, as them having lost to the power of nature in just a brief moment. Whenever he's beaten in these later games, he also does seem perplexed as to how he could have lost to someone other than Red, but he openly admits that his opponent is the better trainer, something which we likely would not have heard him say when he was younger. Later on, he's also quite accommodating and welcoming to trainers that come to challenge his battle tree since he heals our Pokemon before battle, something which he never would do back in the day, and is quite gracious in defeat, but he never fails to remind him that he will inevitably beat them one day. With his nearly endless list of achievements and his raw hunger for victory at all costs, we know that we are dealing with an exceptionally powerful trainer. But how strong is he really? It's time to figure out what Blue can really do by looking at all of his appearances in the main series games in order to determine his best possible team. It's time to find out his true power. Before looking at our encounters with Blue in the early Kanto games, it's worthy to note that as our rival, we do encounter Blue numerous times throughout our journey, and often at the most inconvenient times imaginable. In these encounters, he's often very weak since we did start off our journey along with him, and in our final battle with him he merely has fully evolved versions of his earlier Pokemon, with the lone exception being his Raticate, which is seen at its highest at level 16, and we have no idea what happened to it despite there being several theories about it, but that's a topic for another video. Because of this, we're just going to look at his strongest appearance in these earlier games since all the Pokemon are ones that we've already seen him with in these games, they're just now at their strongest point. We of course first meet Blue for the first time in the Generation 1 games Pokemon Red and Blue, where he serves as our rival from Pallet Town. After battling him several times throughout the game, we find out that he seeks to challenge the Elite Four. Upon making our way through the Pokemon League and defeating the Elite Four, I'm sure most of us thought, hey, we did it, we beat the Elite Four, we're the strongest trainers ever. But no. Lance tells us that the Elite Four was beaten by someone else just moments before we got there, and that they are the real champion who we must now defeat in order to claim the title. And a lot of the lore points to this being the point at which the Elite Four decided to instate a champion to add to the challenge. Walking into the room, we see that none other than Blue is waiting for us, and he challenges us to battle. In this battle, Blue has 3 slightly different teams depending on what starter Pokemon the player chose, although his first 3 Pokemon are always the same. He begins with a level 61 Pidgeot, followed by a level 59 Alakazam, and a level 61 Rhydon. If the player chose Bulbasaur as their starter, he follows these with a level 61 Exeggutor, a level 63 Gyarados, and a whopping level 65 Charizard. If the player chose Charmander as their starter, he'll instead have a level 61 Arcanine, a level 61 Exeggutor, and a level 65 Blastoise. Finally, if the player chose Squirtle, he'll follow with a level 61 Gyarados, 63 Arcanine, and a level 65 Venusaur. Already, with this selection of 9 Pokemon all level 59 or higher, Blue has proven himself to be a very strong trainer, but he has much more to show in later games. The next time we encounter Blue is of course in Pokemon Yellow, the third version game for Red and Blue. In this game, we face Blue as champion again, except in these games he has some new Pokemon, partially due to the fact that he gets an Eevee as a starter instead of one of the standard starter Pokemon. Interestingly, Blue evolves his Eevee differently depending on the outcomes of 2 battles that you have with him, the first battle at Oak's Lab and the optional battle on Route 22. No matter what he evolves his Eevee into, he always starts off with a brand new level 61 Sandslash, followed by his level 59 Alakazam and 61 Exeggutor. If the player loses the Oak's Lab battle, then he'll follow with a brand new Ninetales at level 61, a brand new Magneton at level 63, and his new Vaporeon at level 65. If the player wins against him at Oak's Lab, but loses or skips the battle on Route 22, he'll follow with his Magneton at level 61, a brand new level 63 Cloyster, and a new Flareon at level 65. If the player wins both battles against him, then he'll follow with a level 61 Cloyster, his Ninetales at level 63, and a new Jolteon at level 65. In the Red and Blue remakes, Fire Red and Leaf Green, we can actually battle Blue as the champion on 2 separate occasions, unlike in the originals. The first is under the same circumstances as our Red, Blue, and Yellow battles, where we face him while he's the champion. He's got the same 9 Pokemon in the same orders depending on our starter, except they're all 2 levels lower this time around. However, they do have much better and often very challenging movesets, and his final starters now hold a Citrus Berry for an extra challenge. However, Fire Red and Leaf Green give us the new ability to rematch Blue. Now what's really interesting about this is that after we beat him for the first time, Blue stormed out of the Indigo Plateau headquarters saying that he's going to go to the Sevi Islands and catch new Pokemon to use against the player. Then, upon our rematch, he actually does have 2 new Pokemon that are not native to mainland Kanto. So it seems that he actually might have fought back against Red or Leaf in order to become the champion again, which is pretty wild. In this rematch, Blue has become insanely stronger and always starts off with the same 3 Pokemon. A brand new level 72 Heracross, his Alakazam now at level 73, and a brand new Tyranitar at level 72. If the player chose Bulbasaur as their starter, he'll follow this with a level 73 Exeggutor, level 73 Gyarados, and a whopping level 75 Charizard. If the player chose Charmander, he'll follow with a level 73 Arcanine, 73 Exeggutor, and 75 Blastoise. And if the player chose Squirtle, he'll follow with his level 73 Gyarados, 73 Arcanine, and level 75 Venusaur. At this point, he is already one of the most powerful trainers in the series, but he's not done yet. Blue is next found in Generation 2 in Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal. After we meet him as Ethan or Chris for the first time, where he tells us that he was once a champion, but was done in by Red, he tells us to meet him at the Viridian Gym, where he is revealed to now have a gym leader position there after Giovanni fled. And in Crystal, he also reveals to us that he knows we're now the champion. Unfortunately, since we're technically fighting him for a gym badge, his power is scaled down. In this gym battle, he has a level 56 Pidgeot, a level 54 Alakazam, a level 56 Rhydon, and a level 58 Gyarados, Exeggutor, and Arcanine. In the remakes of Gold and Silver, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Blue can be battled on 2 separate occasions. The first is for the Viridian Gym Badge again, where his team is slightly altered. He now operates with a level 55 Exeggutor, a level 58 Arcanine and Rhydon, a level 52 Gyarados, a brand new level 56 Machamp that we've never seen him with, and his Pidgeot now at level 60. However, Blue can actually be rematched in these games. If the player gets their Pokemon massaged 5 times by Blue's sister, Daisy, at her house in Pallet Town, which she'll do once daily between 3 and 4 PM, and then shows her a Pokemon that is at max happiness, she'll give the player Blue's number, which can be used to call him and organize a rematch at the Fighting Dojo. Interestingly, if Blue calls the player, he'll say something that adds a little bit to the lore of the franchise. He'll say, "Man, this guy called Red brought me down in a heartbeat. I haven't seen him in a long time. I wonder where he is and what he's up to. Come to think of it, you look a little bit like Red." Yeah, you do. Just a little bit. It's kind of cool. Anyway, in this rematch, Blue has some powerful Pokemon, but there's one really interesting development that happens as well. He starts off with his Exeggutor at level 67, his Machamp at level 69, and a brand new Rhyperior at level 70, showing us that he's actually evolved his Rhydon from so long ago, which is awesome. He follows with his Arcanine at level 68, his Tyranitar at level 70, and his Pidgeot at level 72, which is actually the highest level we've ever seen it at. One of the last few times that we see Blue is in Gen 5 in Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, during which he takes part in the Pokemon World Tournament. Keep in mind that the World Tournament automatically sets all Pokemon to level 50, but we can see one new addition to his collection and how competitively viable all of his Pokemon have become, and they have really competitive movesets and items too. Blue participates in just one tournament style, the Champions Tournament, where he rotates between a brand new Aerodactyl, followed by his Exeggutor, Gyarados, Alakazam, Arcanine, and Machamp. The second last set of games that we can battle Blue in is Pokemon Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, and Ultra Moon, where he of course serves as the co-boss of the post-game battling tree along with none other than Red, showing that they seem to have forged a friendship after all the years of being bitter rivals. Upon reaching the battle tree area, Blue shows up and offers to battle the player just to test their skill initially before the actual battle tree process begins. In this battle, he has an Alakazam, Aerodactyl, Arcanine, Gyarados, Machamp, and Exeggutor, all at a maximum of level 69 and with great movesets too. In the actual battle tree, Blue himself participates where he's known as a battle legend, and he can be battled 2 different times if the player reaches a 20 win streak or a 50 win streak respectively, where all Pokemon are automatically set to level 50. However, there are some major developments that we must take note of. He rotates between 9 different Pokemon in the 20 win streak battles, namely his Pidgeot, Arcanine, Alakazam, Machamp, Exeggutor, Gyarados, Aerodactyl, Tyranitar, and Rhyperior. In the 50 win streak battle, he rotates between the same Pokemon, but now his Pidgeot is shown to have access to the Pidgeotite Megastone, making it a Mega Pidgeot. His Gyarados, Aerodactyl, and Tyranitar all have their respective Megastones too, meaning they can all Mega Evolve as well. It's quite insane to see a single trainer with access to so many different options for their Mega Evolution slot, and all of these Pokemon all have hyper-competitive movesets too, with moves like Dragon Dance on Tyranitar and Gyarados, the No Guard ability and Dynamic Punch combination on the Machamp, Stab Hurricane and Tailwind on the Pidgeot, Intimidate and Close Combat, Flare Blitz, and Extreme Speed on the Arcanine, etc. There is unbelievable competitive depth here. It's no wonder he's considered a legend. The final games we can find Blue in are in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, which are remakes of Pokemon Yellow. The Let's Go games seem to take place about 2 years after the events of Red, Blue, and Yellow, and our rival, Trace, kind of regards Blue as a legend of sorts, since he's known as being the former champion. In these games, Blue serves as a sort of mentor figure to the player and Trace, and he even briefly tests the player's strength at the Silph with his level 38 Exeggutor and 40 Charizard. However, Blue can be rematched after he becomes the leader of the Viridian City Gym, where he's got a brand new level 66 Tauros, followed by a level 66 Alakazam, Gyarados, Exeggutor, and Aerodactyl, along with a level 68 Charizard. However, his Charizard is shown to have the ability to Mega Evolve into Mega Charizard Y, making it quite powerful indeed. It's time for the moment we've all been waiting for. Using all of his appearances in the main series games, let's construct Blue's best possible team. Now, the highest level we've seen a lot of Blue's Pokemon are from earlier games, since the most competitive and latest we've seen him are in Gens 5 and 7, and he's experienced and accomplished so much since then, we're going to go ahead and add a plus sign onto all these levels since he's likely leveled them up even more since then, perhaps even substantially. The first pick for Blue's best team is going to have to go to his Charizard from his Fire Red and Leaf Green Champion rematch battle, in which it's at level 75+, along with the Charizardite Y Megastone, making it a Mega Charizard Y. Now granted, Blue does have a lot of options for a Mega, but this Mega allows Charizard to go all the way from the PUBL tier to the upper OU tier, and that drastic increase in viability is impossible to ignore relative to the other Megas. Mega Charizard Y is an absolute monster with insane stats and its ability to automatically set up Sun with Drought, which increases the power of Fire-type moves by 50% and decreases the power of opposing super effective Water moves by 50%. With moves that Blue has on it like Stab Fire Blast, Stab Flamethrower through level up, Stab Air Slash, Dragon Pulse for coverage, and possibly even Roost to heal its health since he might have the TM since his Aerodactyl knows the move and it can only learn it through TM or breeding. The second pick is going to go to Blue's beastly Tyranitar from his Fire Red and Leaf Green champion rematch battle in which it's at level 72+. Tyranitar is also in the upper OU tier and by usage is technically the best Pokemon that he has overall, so it's an absolute must. Tyranitar has the Sandstream ability which sets up Sandstorm to hurt the opponent's Pokemon every turn and give rock types a 50% boost in special defense. And yes, this means that we're going to have a dual weather team which actually works pretty interestingly. With moves that Blue has on it like Dragon Dance to raise both its attack and speed, Stab Crunch, Stab Rock Slide, and coverage moves like Earthquake, Ice Fang, and Fire Punch combined with utility moves like the super important Stealth Rock hazard move and Thunder Wave, Tyranitar has a lot of options and is a terrifying tank that can turn into a sweeper very quickly. Filling out the first half of Blue's team is going to be his Gyarados from his Fire Red and Leaf Green champion rematch battle in which it's at level 73+. Gyarados is currently in the UU-BL tier, meaning it's above the UU tier but doesn't quite make the OU tier by usage. Gyarados also has access to Dragon Dance and can either have the Intimidate ability to lower the opponent's attack, or Moxie to raise its own attack each time it knocks out an opponent, which, given that it's Gyarados, it can be quite often. With stab moves like Waterfall with a chance to flinch along with coverage moves like Ice Fang, Outrage, Crunch, and Stone Edge, Gyarados provides some great type coverage and as soon as it gets momentum going, it's pretty much GG. The fourth spot is going to go to Blue's Venusaur from his Fire Red and Leaf Green rematch battle in which it's at level 75+. Venusaur is in the RU tier, but it has amazing usage even in OU, being 94th, and provides much needed type coverage on this team. Now some might argue that Blue is only meant to have one starter, but he is seen to have all three different Kanto starters at varying points in the timeline and in different games, so I'd say they're all fair game. Venusaur is tied for being his highest level Pokemon, and since 9 of his Pokemon are seen in later games with options between their abilities, we can assume that if we saw his Venusaur in those gens, it would be the same case, so we'll say that this thing could have access to Chlorophyll, which doubles its speed in Sun, which Mega Charizard Y supplies automatically, and makes Venusaur not only a strong defensive Pokemon, but terrifyingly offensive too. Add to this possible moves like Growth, which increases both Venusaur's attack and special attack by 2 stages in Sun, 1 turn Stab Solar Beam, Stab Giga Drain, Stab Sludge Bomb, and other coverage moves like Hidden Power Fire, Earthquake, etc. Venusaur is a perfect switch-in to counter Charizard's weaknesses and take advantage of its Sun setup. The second last slot is going to go to Blue's Alakazam, also from his Fire Red and Leaf Green rematch, in which it's at level 73+. Like Gyarados, Alakazam also barely grazes the OU tier by being in UU-BL, with huge special attack and speed and Stab Psychic along with tons of coverage moves like Focus Blast, Shadow Ball, Dazzling Gleam, and possibly even Calm Mind to raise its special defense and special attack even further. Alakazam is a definite threat. And the final slot is going to go to Blue's Rhyperior from his Heart Gold and Soul Silver rematch battle in which it's at level 70+. Rhyperior is currently in the RU tier and has absolutely insane HP, attack, and defense. If switched in while Sandstorm is brewing after Tyranitar sets up Stealth Rock for instance, Rhyperior's low special defense gets doubled, which makes him an absolute powerhouse with his Solid Rock ability, which cuts damage from super effective moves used against it. With Rock Polish to raise its speed too, and his own ability to set up Stealth Rocks, along with insane stab moves like Stone Edge, Earthquake, and coverage moves like Mega Horn and Thunderfang, Rhyperior rounds out this team really well. Overall, Blue's team is extraordinarily powerful. Although it's not ideal in terms of synergy, it can certainly work well with an experienced trainer like him who is careful with the dual weather and is able to use their types to their advantage. Venusaur, for instance, helps with Mega Charizard Y, Rhyperior, and Tyranitar's weaknesses. Alakazam and Charizard Y help to protect against Tyranitar's 4x fighting weakness, etc. With his wide variety of Pokemon, he does have a few other options that could work, including switching his Mega to be Mega Alakazam, in in which case Charizard would likely be replaced with his level 73 plus Arcanine. This team could also use some Rapid Spin support, so his level 75 Blastoise wouldn't be a bad idea either. Aside from that, he's also got his level 72 Heracross, his level 69 Machamp, and possibly Mega Gyarados or Mega Tyranitar. Well, there we go everyone, we have discovered Blue's true power and unveiled his strongest possible team in the main series games. I know you guys really wanted this episode and it took a while to create, but I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you enjoyed this video and are looking forward to more from this series, please be sure to leave a like, share it on social media, and subscribe with notifications on by hitting that bell icon if you haven't already. All forms of support help a ton and are super appreciated. Don't forget to comment down below with what trainer you wish to see featured next. The comment with the most likes will pick the trainer for the next week's episode and will be featured on screen. Real quick, I'd like to give a shout out to some of our patrons. Thank you guys so much for the support. This has been Soul Spectre, and I'll see you guys next time for some more True Power.